Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So over the past day or so, I've seen a lot of talk on social media regarding KHL stud defenseman Mikko Lehtonen. Now what is the reasoning for this? Well, as you probably know by now, Mikko Lehtonen led the KHL this season up until its cancellation in points as a defenseman with 49 points in 60 games, and also was 6th in all the KHL, I should say, in scoring, regardless if you're a defenseman or not. Now, this is impressive, let alone the fact that he was also a rookie this season in the KHL, which is even more impressive. But what has been all the talk regarding him? Well, he just terminated his contract with his team in the KHL, which means that he's going to be coming to the NHL. So since then, there's been a lot of rumors and speculation of what the type of teams that will possibly inquire on him. So I'm going to break down now Mikko Lehtonen, where he's from, his game, and the teams that will be interested. So starting off with Mikko, he's a 26-year-old left-handed defenseman who's been playing the KHL this season and his rookie season there. But before that, he was splitting time for the majority of his career, going back to starting in 2011, 2012 with TPS Turku, which is his homeland, where he's from, Turku, Finland, playing for TPS, though, which is part of the Liga, which is the Finnish Elite League. And what has he done with them? Well, he's been on and off between playing with them and other teams, and over the past couple seasons especially, he's been splitting time between not just that league, but also the Swedish Elite League as well. So let's look at his stats, though, like I said, not just in the KHL, but previously. Well, in the season before this year in the KHL, in 2018-2019 season, in the SHL, which is the Swedish Hockey League, in 52 games played, he had 5 goals, 19 assists for 24 points, and a plus-minus of +9. And also in the KHL this season, he had a +26, so very impressive there. And in the year before that, in 2017-2018, this time in Liga, playing in back in the Finnish Elite League, in 55 games played, he had 12 goals, 17 assists for 29 points, and a plus-minus of +4. What really stands out to me when it comes to Mikko especially is his goal scoring as a defenseman. He's fantastic. He pinches up in the play. He has a lethal wrist shot that is really great when it comes to being on the power play, especially, or 5-on-5. From all the highlights that I've seen of him especially, he really likes to pinch up in the play, especially when it's the man advantage, of course, and likes to get shots on net. He has been really strong when it comes to goal scoring as a defenseman, not just this season in the KHL, but in years past, as you see with Liga. But going on with that, he has also won the gold medal with Finland in the 2014 World Junior Championships and in the 2019 World Championship, in which he played with the likes of Capo Kakko before he was drafted. So that is pretty impressive there as well. But he has a lot of connection to not just a lot of Rangers, but a lot of other players as well, all throughout the NHL that he's had a connection with, playing with at TPS Turku, among other things. So breaking down into more, he started his pro career, like I said, in 2011, 2012 with TPS Turku, in which in the around then, he had a cup of coffee with a young Rasmus Ristolainen before he was drafted, the defenseman for the Buffalo Sabres, of course. And the year after, in 2012-2013, he had a cup of coffee with Mikko Rantanen, who played a couple years with TPS Turku before being drafted by the Colorado Avalanche, who, as you probably know, is one of the better forwards in all of the NHL for the Colorado Avalanche. So he has been around some very elite company when it comes to superior players coming out of Finland, so there are plenty of ties with him and all these other players. But Mikko especially, it's very interesting when it comes to what can he do exactly if he signs to an NHL team. Well, he can only sign for 1 year, given his age at the age of 26. He's not able to sign a, say, 3-year entry-level deal. So he can only sign for 1 year, and then he would be a UFA, assuming that his contract would be up and he doesn't sign an extension after 1 year with the NHL team he signs with. Or the only exception is that the season does pick up at some point this season and he signs with a team this year and plays at least 1 game with them, then he can become an RFA at the season's end going into this year's offseason. But with the unlikelihood of there being a regular season still in the NHL this year, I don't see that happening. So the most realistic case scenario would be for him to sign for a 1 year and then be a UFA at the end of that contract if he doesn't sign an extension. But there's a lot to like when it comes to Mikko Lehtonen, and I've been seeing a lot of talk with him, and I want to give a shout out to some guys with Stapboy Steven on Twitter, and of course Ryan O'Mead, who is the head of the Church of Kako. If you haven't checked that out, you got to make sure, especially if you're a Rangers fan. He's a great guy. He's also one of the hosts in Blue Shirts Breakaway, which is a fantastic podcast that you can catch basically anywhere. But those guys are just a few that I've noticed that have really started some of the rumors when it comes to his connection with the New York Rangers possibly, and of course there is connection between Mikko and other teams as well, I should say. But with the Rangers, what was really interesting, what first surfaced from what I saw from numerous people, was the fact that Mikko, if you go on his Instagram, he only follows the New York Rangers out of any other NHL team. Now that's very interesting. Then you also have to look at the fact that he is connected to Kaapo Kakko, of course. He is connected to Elias Anderson, who is the prospect for the New York Rangers, who has been very controversial to say the least, who in part with the Rangers and Elias' side have really not done things as well as I'm sure they would both imagine they would have when it comes to developing Elias and how he would take things. So it's definitely been both parties' faults when it comes to that. But regardless, Elias has been connected with Mikko as well, playing with each other as they won the SHL championship with each other back in 2017. And he's been connected with other Rangers as well. But it's just very interesting when you see something like that, because why would he just be following the Rangers and no other team, right? But this is all just rumors as of now. But what other teams are more likely to get Mikko than, say, the Rangers? Well, while the Rangers seem like they would be a good fit, even though they have a plethora of defensive prospects, they are short on the left side of defensemen. And yes, they have Keandre Miller coming in and other defensemen, of course, but Keandre Miller most likely will not play with the Rangers the next season unless he just does phenomenal in training camp. And even then, I'm not sure if he would be cut to make the team right away. So bringing in a guy like Mikko would make a lot of sense, and they could have him short term, as he can really sign wherever he wants for at least that 1 year deal, and then the Rangers could see if they want to keep him long term or not given his play. But teams that would probably make more sense than the Rangers, well, of course you have the Los Angeles Kings right here, and then you have the Montreal Canadiens, and then you also have the New Jersey Devils. Now I have seen some reports out there since the Lehtonen terminated his contract in the KHL that the Devils are the front runners when it comes to getting Mikko. Now that's very interesting. It wouldn't be all that surprising either, as the Devils are definitely looking for a puck-moving defenseman on the left side especially. But when it comes to the Habs, it would make a lot of sense as well, as they have definitely been needing some more scoring on the blue line. And yes, Shea Weber has been solid for them, but he has been dealing with injuries, of course. But bringing in a guy like Lehtonen would make a lot of sense. And of course you have the Kings as well, who are very scarce on their blue line besides Drew Doughty now, as they're in this rebuild, retool, whatever you may call it. So bringing in a guy like Lehtonen would make perfect sense too. So either one of those destinations makes a lot of sense to me, but especially when it comes to the New York Rangers, it seems like it would be a strong fit. And as a Rangers fan myself, I would love to see it, but it would not surprise me either to see him go to any of those other teams. So those are just a few that are out there. I'm sure that there are more that are interested, but those definitely seem like the front runners, with the Rangers being the most rumor-driven one, if you will. But when it comes to Mikko, again, he's a fantastic player from everything that I've seen from him, and I've watched a lot. I've seen clips of him in the past, but especially over the past 24 hours, I've watched a lot of his as I was preparing for this video. And there's a lot to like when it comes to his game, for sure. He's an undrafted player, as you probably know, but that has not really changed much, and he has really blossomed into a fantastic, more offensively minded defenseman over this first rookie season in the KHL. So that's just impressive enough, dominating the KHL like he did this past season, but doing it in the fashion that he did with 17 goals as a defenseman, truly remarkable. And you also have to note, he did have 4 points in the 6 games that his KHL team played in playoffs, which led them to the second round of the playoffs, to which the season was then terminated. So that's unfortunate for the KHL's part, but when it comes to him, he's just one of many KHL players, better KHL players, that are leaving the KHL right now due to a lot of different things with the ongoing pandemic, of course, but it makes perfect sense for him to give the NHL a shot, and he has plenty of suitors that will be interested. So let me know what you think. I would love to hear your thoughts when it comes to Mikko, and if I pronounce his name right or wrong, because I've been trying to figure that out, if it's Lehtonen, whatever it may be. But I hope you liked this video. If you do, please like, subscribe, comment, all those great things. If you haven't checked out my previous videos, make sure you do. I have plenty of other videos relating not just to the New York Rangers, but all the other teams that I listed. So make sure you check them out. I'll probably have my recent videos right down here below for you. And please comment if you did like the video, and if you have any thoughts on it regarding Mikko, I would love to hear your feedback. But with all those things being said, thank you again so much, and I'll be back in a day or two.